What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to chat about who's going to win the battle of anime TCGs, right? In English, we've now got a choice of different anime card games. They all have their differences here or there, but you know, you go back a couple of years and there wasn't a choice, right? There was Weiss Schwarz was the only one doing that kind of seasonal anime. Obviously, I'm not talking about Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! They're their own thing when it comes to the card games, right? But when it comes to anime card games, you know, we're talking about what I've said is the big three, right? We're talking about One Piece, Union Arena, and Weiss Schwarz. Union Arena English is literally just released, so obviously, you know, take that with a pinch of salt. Like, there's so much that could happen with that. It's got so much potential, but there's also so much that could go wrong with it, right? One Piece and Union Arena, both by Bandai. One Piece, like, year and a half, nearly 2 years now, and has actually been going very, very well. Even recently, they've reprinted to meet some of that demand and increase that supply that they struggled with, I guess, the last 12 months. And that's kind of gone well. Like, sometimes they can do that and you get this massive drop off because everyone who's in it just for the money just leaves. And obviously that would have happened to a degree. Some people would have left, but there's still loads of people collecting it. There's still loads of people playing it. So it's still going really, really strong after those reprints, which is a great sign. And then obviously, you know, Weiss Schwarz and Union Arena, right? So they're obviously very similar in the sense every set is a different IP. And we've literally just had Union Arena release, but in terms of pure popularity, especially here in the UK, like, it's potentially a little bit different in the US. But in the UK, if I had to just rank these right now in terms of what I see for popularity, obviously English Union Arena, we haven't actually got a release here, so that didn't release in Europe. Still waiting on some boxes that will be here maybe next week. But obviously I can comment on what I see online, but it's always going to be like US stuff at the moment. But despite that, in terms of popularity, I would say One Piece is definitely top right now. Union Arena, I'd say would be second, and then Weiss Schwarz. Speaking of, like, being in the UK, like, if I wanted to play any of these card games, obviously Union Arena is not here, so I can't really include that in the conversation right now. But One Piece is there, it's available, right? I literally mentioned it in my last video. If I go any 3 directions from where I live, I can get to a locals within 20 minutes. There's loads of game stores, local game stores, that sell and host games for One Piece. If I wanted to play Weiss Schwarz, obviously I don't know how to play it, but if I did, I genuinely don't know where I'd go. I'd probably have to travel a couple of hours away, and I mean, any local game store to me does not stock Weiss Schwarz and do not play Weiss Schwarz. So in the UK, it is an incredibly small niche game. Like, it really is very small. Like, even people that I know live other places in the UK, they say the same thing. They kind of say, I don't see any stores that sell it. I don't see anywhere that plays it. The only store that sells it is a place called Forbidden Planet. It's like a chain store. It's not like a local game store. They don't host any card games, but they stock a few card games. It's the only place I really see it for sale, and it's just an odd booster pack or something. But yeah, people that live and in the UK and other places, they literally say the same thing. They don't really, you know, they are more collectors, but they do play a few card games, but they just say they don't see it anywhere. Obviously, One Piece is absolutely everywhere. So in terms of popularity, I'd have to put that at the top. I'd say, just looking purely at, like, TCG player sales, Union Arena's officially come out for like a few days, but even with that said, it's still getting a lot more sales volume online, on TCG player and online, than what Weiss Schwarz seems to get. So in terms of popularity, I would put them there. In terms of, like, who's going to win the battle, like, I don't genuinely, I know it looks like, obviously, the way I've named this video, right, but I genuinely think there is space for all 3 of these games to exist and for everything to go well. There's obviously going to be ones that are more popular, and I think it will stay, as I've mentioned, it will stay as One Piece, Union Arena, Weiss Schwarz for a little while, with the exception that Union Arena has the potential to get to One Piece levels. Obviously not necessarily here because people can't really play it, but I know some people are trying to do like proxies and play, you know, buy some cards and play it like informally, like not official tournaments obviously or anything, but there's always going to be that popularity scale. And I guess what's really interesting here is Weiss Schwarz has been around for like I think 13 years in English at this point, something like that. And you've had these, you know, you've had One Piece show up like 2 years ago. You've had Union Arena literally show up now. And in terms of where the West, in terms of the English market, like it's quite clear that they're doing things right for the English market. And obviously Weiss Schwarz is run by Bushiroad, and they, from what I get, you know, the sense I get of things online as well, they really sort of concentrate on the Japanese side of Weiss Schwarz, and Bushiroad in general seems to heavily focus on some of their newer TCGs like Shadowverse, Evolve, and actually even Card Fight Vanguard. It seems like there's just not this much of a push for Weiss Schwarz English, and I think that's really noticeable by the fact that these other, you know, newer card games can come along and just immediately just be more popular. Now, something we definitely have to talk about is they are run by Bandai. They do not have a good track record. Even when One Piece came out, loads of people were skeptical with One Piece purely because they've had a lot of TCGs fail. Digimon came out, was really popular. They messed that up. Dragon Ball Super came out, was really popular. They then had to like re-release it, which was fairly recent, and that still hasn't gone well. Then they've brought out One Piece, which actually has gone really well. So it's really good to see that they've actually made a card game that is nearly 2 years and is still going really strong. So that shows that they can actually make a card game and not ruin it. Now it's still only 2 years. You know what it will look like in 5 years, 10 years time could be completely different, but it still shows that they can do it. Whereas, you know, the other two had their drop-offs by then. It was definitely starting to decline. And then obviously now you've got Union Arena. Not only that, they've also just announced another TCG as well, Gundam. So they don't seem to be slowing down, and I guess the worry there is they're just creating so many that, you know, I guess similar to Weiss Schwarz and Bushiroad, right? They're creating these other, you know, newer card games, Shadowverse, Evolve and things. They're even producing the HoloLive TCG for HoloLive, right? They're doing all these other things that there's a risk there that the other TCGs get a little bit left out, a little bit left behind, like what seems to be happening with Weiss Schwarz. As of recording this video today as well, Weiss Schwarz, Bushiroad have literally taken down the fan-made client, so that's been pulled down. So really not good news. You know, I kind of get it from a licensing perspective. You know, each set is a new IP. There's going to be a lot of licensing issues there because you're including cards from these IPs, you know, that don't have the legal requirements to be used, right? But it's still just a really, like, in terms of timing, it's just horrendous. Like, they've taken that down the week after or the weekend of Union Arena's release. And just in general, why I think there is space for all of these to exist is just because of how different they actually are. I think Union Arena has the potential to be the biggest. Equally, so does One Piece. Weiss Schwarz, I just don't see it. They have made some changes. They are bringing out some serialized pen-signed cards, which is obviously great to see. It's something that Union Arena introduced and started doing first. But overall, I think this is the reason why there's space for them, right? One Piece is obviously its own thing. There's one IP, One Piece. One Piece is still going incredibly strong. It's still airing. The anime itself is, you know, getting remade at the moment. The live action has got more seasons to come. The IP is almost growing at this point, which is an incredible thing to see. And yeah, so if those things continue, if it continues, if the remake goes well and they continue just to, you know, end up remaking the whole show, things like that will keep the card game. It will just keep so much interest in the card game, along with the live action, just everything going. It's just got a lot going for it at the moment, and potentially in the future, like that can just continue on. Union Arena, obviously, the IPs and the choices for sets in English at the moment are incredible, and they are suited for the Western audience. They are those massive shonen anime that are just suited for casual anime audiences. So you've got a much wider audience when you compare it to Weiss Schwarz in terms of people wanting to pick these cards up and get into the card game as a whole. Obviously, it's quite, well, so I've heard, is quite an easy card game to pick up as well. So not only that, you've got One Piece. They're both Bandai, right? So maybe people playing One Piece might want to transition. They're going to find that transition to playing the game, you know, quite easy, given it's made by the same company. So there is just such a wider audience when it comes to Union Arena. Weiss Schwarz, although they do get some of those bigger, you know, they do get some big IPs, you know, they do get like Spy X Family, Chainsaw Man. They've just announced they get Dan to Dan. But something I want to mention here is, although Dan to Dan, there's a lot of hype around it, only one episode's been aired at the moment. But in terms of like just online in the anime community, there is a lot of hype and excitement for that show. I kind of compare it to Chainsaw Man, where like you've got Demon Slayer and JJK and Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is kind of the odd one out in that it's a little bit weird. Not weird, but yeah, it kind of is. It's just a bit different, right? It's just a little bit different than JJK and Demon Slayer. It's not necessarily such a wide audience that would enjoy it because of how it is. And I'm going to say it's like, so Dan to Dan is the same as that. Like it's probably even weirder than Chainsaw Man. But for people that are like deep anime fans, deep weebs, it's absolutely fine. They're probably going to love the show. But when you compare that to a casual anime audience, mainstream anime, if you compare Kaiju number 8, which Union Arena is getting in Japanese, so we potentially could get that in English. We could get that in Union Arena English come out, Kaiju number 8. If you compare Kaiju number 8 to Dan to Dan, so Weiss Schwarz in Japanese is getting Dan to Dan. To me, that sums up exactly what Union Arena is and exactly like what Weiss Schwarz is. The kind of IPs, right? Union Arena getting Kaiju number 8. A show you could literally get anyone to watch and they're not going to think it's just so weird, right? And that they don't want to watch it because it's weird and they're, yeah, they're uncomfortable, right? But if you show Dan to Dan to just anyone, there's going to be a lot of people there that are going to be like, this is really weird and I don't think I want to watch it. Like, it just appeals to a much smaller audience than the other show. And I think that just those two IPs, the fact that Weiss is getting that and Union Arena is getting Kaiju number 8, I think that just completely sums it up exactly. Weiss Schwarz has more of a mega anime fan, mega weeb lineup in terms of IPs. Now they still, like I said, they still get like some big shows. You know, they had all of the Attack on Titans and they had Chainsaw Man. But yeah, I just think it's just catered to a different audience, and that's why I believe that all three of these can exist and still do okay. Like, I don't think Weiss Schwarz is going to go anywhere anytime soon. I think it's absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine for them to focus on these shows and do what they're doing. And Union Arena is going to come along and do these massive shows that cater to a much wider audience, which will probably translate to much bigger sales in terms of the card game. Obviously, it is new. Anything can happen. Bandai could completely ruin it. They did a great job with One Piece, but they've done bad job in the past with other card games. So we will just have to see what happens in a year's time, in 2 years' time, in 5 years' time. It might be here, it might not. If they do a good job or not, that will just be reflected, right? And yeah, I hope all of them just can continue as they are. Yeah, I don't think one needs to just, there's not going to be one that just comes in and then all the others start to disappear. There's definitely an audience for all three of these card games. There's definitely space for that. In terms of popularity, I do think Union Arena has the potential to climb to the top, but is up against a mammoth IP of One Piece, which is that, it is what it is. You're going to compete with One Piece, but at the same time, they're both Bandai TCGs anyway, so I'm sure Bandai really don't care, because whether you're buying One Piece, Union Arena, or a bit of both, that's all that's all that matters to them. But yeah, I'm really interested to hear your thoughts down below. Where do you think these card games are going to go? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know down below. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.